Here's a hard truth. If you're always the smartest person in the room, your team is probably shrinking, stalling, or silently quitting.
Welcome to It Doesn't Take a Genius.
Ramsey!
Marshall, it's wonderful to see you yet again for our next in the series of podcasts about our new book, The Inquiring Leader. We're going to share some nuggets from The Inquiring Leader. Available now on Amazon.com.
Oh, man, that was good. You're getting the hang of this whole announcer thing. That was really good.
You know, I did voiceovers back in my early career post-college. I did voiceover work. You know why?
For Soul Train?
No.
No?
For let's see, Valvoline instant oil change,
Ooh.
random politicians, for a quasi-governmental entity in Kentucky, and there was at least one other. But I was even on-screen talent for Toyota Motor Manufacturing of Kentucky. Yeah.
Ooh. Spokesmodel.
Well, the guy who was willing to fit into coveralls and show people how not to scratch cars when they were building them. That was really what I did. But
oh, that was you?
You want to know the reason? Very, very cheap. Very cheap.
Yeah.
That's why they hired me.
He fit the suit.
That's
well, in another demonstration of our ADHD, I recently learned that in the movie Airplane, the guy doing the announcements in the movie,
yeah,
the exact same guy who does the announcements at the LA airport.
Oh, really? That's great.
They just went and got the guy. Like, that's perfect.
That's very clever. I was just there at LAX. It cost me $200 to get there.
Okay. Yeah, your Uber driver's very happy.
Yeah. Anyway, hey, we're having a show here. You know, if you're the kind of person who is leading a team and they seem to only execute when you're there, when you're in the room, when you have a project that you're working on and it seems to bottleneck around you, this might be for you. This just might be for you. It's a different leadership style that we're introducing with the inquiring leader. It's not the directive leader, it's the inquiring leader. But the reality is, this takes longer. The inquiring leader seems to take longer, at least on the front end. But it's not more efficient to just direct people. It's actually killing performance. That's what we're going to talk about today, is some of these limitations of
right.
directing.
Well, and yeah, I think it's one of those topics that really rings home with a lot of managers.
Yeah.
The new manager especially.
Yep.
They show up. I've just been promoted. Their thought process is they move me up because I must have all the answers.
Right.
And they show up wanting to provide value by providing answers.
Yeah.
And the reality is, you're new.
Yep.
You don't know half of what you need to know to even begin supplying answers. And so the person gets themselves into trouble, or they create an expectation that this person is going to be the answer guy. And we'll talk about what are the ramifications of that as it spills out. One way that you can look at this is, somebody told me a long time ago, they said the mark of a great leader is not how their organization runs when they're there. It's how does it run when they're not there.
That's right.
And we can tell that. We go into a dealership, we're having a meeting with the managers, and if you watch which managers get called out of the meeting most frequently,
bad sign.
Yeah, you're like, okay, that's just one piece of evidence, but it's going to lead me to go and inquire and investigate. Is this person somebody who's made themselves the answer man? Their team's completely dependent upon them, and they don't make a move without them. And so they can't even attend a 30-minute managers meeting without interruptions.
And it makes sense, right? Marshall Goldsmith talks about this a little bit in What Got You Here Won't Get You There.
Hmm.
It's like there were things you did to own it. You were so responsible and action oriented, proactive, intentional. You did all these things and kept these plates spinning for you, but now you got a team. So you're not spinning plates for yourself. You are helping your team spin plates. And if it all is still on you, and it's like a one man show, well, there's the issue, right? And so we're going to talk about some of the limitations of being that kind of a directive leader, where it's all on your shoulders.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Simon Sinek said that when you're in leadership, you're not responsible for the results. You're
yeah,
responsible for the people who are responsible for the results.
right,
And if you think you're the smartest guy in the room, you're probably in the wrong room.
right.
There's a lot of people in your on your team that know more about what's going on than you do, because they do their job much more frequently. They do it every single day, whereas you just see it as an outsider.
That's it. So we're here to break down the five hidden dangers of directive leadership, and sort of talk about how you flip that script.
Mm-hmm.
So stay with us. We'll be teaching you how to undo some of this by the time we get to the end. But let's talk about the first one, the first of the hidden dangers. This limitation of directive leadership, lack of engagement.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're doing all the thinking, we got a problem.
Oh yeah, yeah. At some point, I showed up with ideas, thoughts. Right, I got a brain and a pair of hands, and if I figure out very quickly you're not interested in my ideas, I just become a pair of hands. Right, I'm doing the work, but there's no engagement.
Yep.
There's no creativity. There's no problem solving. There's no, how can we make things better? The Japanese call it kaizen.
Hmm.
None of that is occurring because I don't have an investment in it anymore. My ideas don't get a fair hearing.
Yeah,
And
and what are you investing, right? You're investing your ideas and your heart. Right? If you're really involved, you're investing some of your heart. There's body language that I'll see happen with this. I'll say, whatever happened with XYZ that you were involved with, Mr. Employee, and they'll sort of put up their hands like back off, meaning, yeah, I don't touch that anymore. And they
Mhm.
mean that, right? Like they are not touching it. They are not investing uh, blood, sweat, and tears, heart and soul, however you want to look at it. They're just going through the motions. I'm just going to do my job. You'll hear them say stuff like that. I'm just going to do my job.
Mhm.
So they check out. They stop offering ideas. They stop caring in some ways. That's a lack of engagement, because anything that they were going to contribute has been pushed aside for the direction of the leader.
Oh yeah, yeah. The idea that yeah. We also hear the phrase, "I don't stick my neck out anymore."
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, we hear
Yeah,
that one
that
a lot.
hurts.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, you stick your neck out around here, it'll get chopped off, or
Yeah.
it just gets ignored.
Yeah, I think that one is honestly more common. I mean, we have, you know, I've worked with, hotheads over the years. I've worked with a few folks that were a little bit vindictive, or reactionary, but more often than not, it's just people don't feel like they're listened to, because the boss has already got it figured out, and I just need you to go execute this, please.
Mhm.
And eventually you get tired of beating your head against the wall, so you stop. So,
Oh
lack of
yeah,
engagement.
lack of engagement. Number two, reduced innovation.
Yeah.
Um, no one thinks outside the box if you keep, telling them what the shape of the box is, where they're at in the box, and that they can't get out of the box.
Right.
it's like, it's
Stay
like,
in the box.
yeah, stay in the box, right?
Yeah.
And we've talked about this. Mature organizations, the innovation doesn't come from headquarters. It doesn't
Right.
come from the leader. In a mature organization where, yeah, the founder's idea is now being implemented, and there's people out there doing the work, the ideas come from the fringe of the organization back towards headquarters, if you bother to create a climate where people know that those innovations are desired.
And think about how far this can go. You and I had a chance to hear Dr. Henry Cloud, the psychologist, speak about this. I can't remember if this is actually in the book Boundaries for Leaders, which he was promoting at the time, similar to how we're promoting the Inquiring Leader right now with stories of our own.
Well, that was
But
good.
he told a story. He told a story about an investment bank, a Wall Street investment bank that he was working for, that had a branch office that was killing it, and they sent him to investigate. Now, I don't want to spoil his story. I remember him saying, "I thought we had the wrong guy when I got on campus. I thought we had the wrong guy. It was like middle school football coach. It was like it shocked him that this is where the innovation was coming from. But he was sent there to study the innovation. He was there to ask questions and capture the bright spots and help it be scaled up through the rest of the organization. And there were some very clever things that guy was doing with his meetings. So that's the opposite, if you will, of directive leadership, right? If I'm coming up with all the answers, if the leader's already got it figured out, giving those answers too quickly, in fact, I mean, the creative potential of the organization is going to die off. No, people know that's not wanted.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and it becomes part of the unofficial orientation.
Oh
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, in the
yeah,
official orientation, we welcome ideas, right? We're open. All right, we have an open door policy. And then you leave that orientation. You go out and ask your coworkers who've been there for a while, like, "Hey, what's it like around here?" Like, well, you can offer up stuff, but they ain't never going to listen.
yep.
Like, what? No, I just heard the story. Like, well,
Don't
so
bother.
yeah, don't bother. Right? They say that they don't mean it. Yeah,
Yeah.
just keep your
And
head.
and so this is what's so fascinating about this because we just talked about lack of engagement,
Mm-hmm.
and we're still talking about it, right? People are not engaged in providing innovative solutions, but that's the actual limitation is we've already got lack of engagement. Now we've got lack of ideas, lack of improvements, lack of
Mm-hmm.
breakthroughs that we could have that transform the organization, take it forward with a new group of customers, introduce a new product or service. We're missing all of that because we stifled it.
Oh yeah. Well, there was a story that at Saturn, which was a wildly innovative company,
Yeah.
and they asked, they were building all cars in the early days, and they asked their people,
Oh,
right, what should our next product be? And they said an SUV.
yep.
This is before people could spell SUV.
In fact, they said a small SUV.
Yeah,
They even knew what kind. They knew exactly what they were talking about. Yeah.
yeah. And leadership went yawn.
Yep.
Not doing it, and it turned out to be, yeah, the majority of our vehicles are now small SUVs.
It was a rebadged, larger sedan than what they already had, and it was not a great vehicle, and it missed the mark of what their customers needed, which the employees knew because they were on the front lines. Like
Yeah,
they just totally missed it. Anyway.
I'm out here. I'm dragging
Yeah.
kids to soccer. I know what I need.
All right. Well, so let's say that you've got great ideas and your direction has been actually really good. Um, the third danger here is that now they're dependent on you. There's a dependency culture that is a limitation to directive leadership. And when I say dependency culture, I literally mean that. Like the team depends on you.
Mhm.
In our notes, we talk about they become answer addicts. They wait for the fix instead of going and finding a fix. They're waiting on you. They're dependent on you.
Oh yeah, yeah. We see this all the time. You can see it in as short as time frame is I can be with a manager at their place of employment. We can go to lunch. We can go off site for an hour, come back, and there's three people waiting at his or her door.
Yeah,
Hey, while you were gone, such and such happened, and I need to know what to do. And then now they have
yep,
to, solve the problem. Sometimes they don't listen to the podcast we just did about clarifying the problem and truly understanding what's going on, asking questions, and they offer some solution, and the team member just goes and does it, whether it's good or bad.
yeah.
They just do it. But yeah, you see this line forming for answers.
And I get the attraction. Like I'm pretty lazy, and it sounds pretty good to me if I can say, "Oh, I've reached a stopping point. All right, I'll wait on the boss for this one. Shoot him an email, and I don't know. I can play solitaire on my computer or something." I get the attraction. I do
Mhm.
get the attraction. It's terrible for the organization. It's also terrible for the leader, right? All the stress put on the leader. No development of the team. I mean, there's all sorts of problems here for the leader who has been directing and is now has everybody dependent on him.
Oh yeah, and many times, right, you start to see cracks in the leaders' enthusiasm about their team members.
Yep.
These guys, yeah, they can't make a move without me.
Right.
I don't know why we pay these guys so much. I'm doing all the work.
And that might have felt good early on, like they do need me,
Yeah,
but now it's debilitating.
yeah. People come to me, and now it's just too much.
Yeah.
And I don't see development happening. I don't see
Right.
people growing and learning, and that's depressing to the leader. So yeah, what was energizing at the beginning now becomes like, this is not the organization that I want to be a part of for the next 10, 20 years.
Yeah, and there will be a point, and this kind of leads into the fourth limitation of directive leadership. There will be a point where that leader does want people to get on board with some new idea or, a change that he or she wants to make. But now we've got limited buy-in, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's been directive up till now, so people aren't necessarily bought in. We have said on here many times, if you let them weigh in, you will get buy-in.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of letting them weigh in and listening to them, we've just been telling, directing, directing, directing. People don't commit to things that they didn't get a chance to shape, right?
Oh yeah,
So if they're not invested, they're not invested.
yeah. We talked about the IKEA effect,
Yep,
that which I helped build. I think more highly of.
yep,
Yeah, yeah. What do you think of my coffee table? It's okay. You're right. But if I put it together,
yeah.
that's just a architectural work of art here.
This is
Yeah.
this is
Uh,
investment.
yeah, Captain Mike Abrashoff from the book "It's Your Ship." He was fond of saying, "You can't order excellence."
Yeah, yeah,
So you can order average, you can
yep,
order compliance, you can order status quo, but if you want excellence, that comes from people doing more than is expected, bringing innovation and ideas to the average, and turning it into something that's excellent. And you can't order people to be excellent.
yeah. It's back to the problem of, the head and the heart and the hands, right? Like if back to our first of the limitations, if I've got a lack of engagement, like, okay, you got my hands today. I'm going to do the job, but I'm not going to be emotionally invested. I'm not going to be, looking proactively for opportunities. I'm not doing that. And if you bring a new thing to me, I'm probably going to be a bystander at the very least, right? At this point, I'm not really excited about anything other than checking the boxes. And so if you're asking me to do a new thing, well, I'll follow your orders. But that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to follow your orders. I'm not going to be really
Mhm.
excited about it. Lack of
Yeah,
buy-in.
there's a good chance I'm going to follow your orders with an eye roll. There'll be a healthy eye roll. Oh God, yeah, this is going to
Or
be
or
hard.
until it goes away, right?
Uh,
Like just knowing like this will probably be flavor of the month. We'll just wait this out.
yeah, yeah. This I know this won't work, but yeah, we're going to do it anyway, and nobody cares. Yeah. And then the last one, bottlenecks everywhere. If every decision needs your stamp, you become the bottleneck, right? You become the obstacle to your department, to your organization's growth.
Yeah, this is about multiplication, right? If you had created a bunch of proactive, engaged people who were leading from the front, um, let's say you got five of those people. Well, now whatever your impact is, it's times five.
Mhm.
But as of now, it's times one. It's you. There will be no multiplication of what you're bringing to the table. You are the bottleneck. It's gonna end with your capacity level, whatever that capacity is. I'm sure it's a lot. I'm sure you're really good, but it's only times one.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's only so much you can do, and that becomes the cap, the ceiling about your department can only grow to your ability to do all the work or to
Yeah.
answer all the questions. Once you reach that, growth is no longer possible.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. And we say growth, we're talking about all sorts of hidden costs here, right? Like, the opportunity that we could have done X, Y, Z. We're talking about, time that gets wasted because they're waiting on decisions to be made, or, for you to do that one special thing that only you can do. And, it's a hemorrhage of results. You're just going to slowly over time lose that ability to be effective. Um, but I don't know if you can speak to this, Mike, but I feel like there's sort of those are the limitations, right? Those are the limitations of directive leadership for the team, for the organization. But something happens to the leader himself or herself eventually as
Mhm.
they are going through this with their people who are now dependent, don't have buy-in, are waiting for them in all these bottleneck situations. The the leader really changes too eventually, don't you think?
Oh yeah, yeah. At first, you're right. You're wearing a cape. You got a big A on your chest for answer guy.
Yep.
Right. It feels great. I'm flying in, solving problems, saving the day. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And that lasts for a little while. And at some point, you realize when you're the first person to show up, it's dark. You're the first one to turn on the lights. You're doing all the work. Your employees show up and they do what you've told them to do, and they
Hmm.
leave on time. And now you're staying late to solve the problems that
Yep.
you've taken from them. At some point, resentment starts to grow.
Yeah.
And we hear it from managers all the time. I have to do everything around here.
Yep.
These guys, yeah, I'm just carrying this team.
I'm a babysitter.
Yeah, I'm a babysitter. I'm running a daycare.
Yep.
And so, yeah, you start to get these resentful attitudes, right? I'm killing myself, and they are, right?
Yep.
The managers killing themselves, and these people just seem to be scooting by without a care in the world.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and this starts to show up in how the leader begins to treat their people.
Yep. If you resent them, I mean, that shows up in your words and actions eventually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's condensation,
Condescension. Yep.
condescension. It's sarcasm.
Yep.
It's passive aggressive. It's all of a sudden all these things start to show up,
Yep.
and it goes back to what we talked about in the last episode. You have to ask yourself, what did I do as the leader that
Yep.
contributed to this?
That's it.
And it was, yeah, these non-direct, this lack of an inquiry type leadership,
Yep.
this directive type leadership that created a lack of engagement, lack of innovation, culture of dependency, limited buy-in, and a bottleneck. And it's always so painful, but yeah, that's on you. Right? You created this. The good news is
Yeah. You can
you can
shift
fix it.
this. Yeah, this
Yeah.
can change.
Yeah,
This
it
can
doesn't
change.
have to stay this way.
So there are some things you can try when you realize that these are issues for you. If you're sensing a lack of engagement, you probably ought to get some folks engaged. You might need to engage them. And usually we do that with questions, which is why we named the book The Inquiring Leader. One of the reasons, at least. So for instance, it could be just something as simple as, uh, you know, uh, Billy Bob, what's your take on this?
Mhm.
Then you have to shut up and wait
What?
to hear their answer and reflect back what you think you hear them say, use good body language, all that good stuff, but ask the question and actually listen to the response.
Oh yeah, the somebody just a simple rule somebody told me a long time ago is when you're searching for solutions, you're searching for ideas, the highest ranking person in the room needs to speak last.
Yeah,
So many times, right? You see, all right, here's what's going on, and here's what I think we should do. What do you guys think? I'm with
right.
you, boss.
Yep,
Great idea. Let's go with your thought, right?
yep.
And so yeah, so you have to present, right? Here's the problem or opportunity, and you do not give a hint of what you think the solution is until everybody else in the room has contributed. And then
And
yeah, you've got a more informed, it may change what you initially thought was the solution to this thing.
100%, 100%, which is why you listen to the answer, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not asking it to go through the motions so that you can eventually get back around to you giving your opinion. You're actually listening to find out what people think.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
And I had a
which
manager one time, and he was trying to do this, right? He was asking questions, what do you guys think? And he didn't even know he was doing it. And he was just sitting there as they were talking, subtly, just the subtlest shaking no, his head no, like, you know, just the tiniest back and
Oops.
forth movement of his head. And it didn't take long. The first person's talking, the rest of the room's like, no, I don't have any ideas. Nothing to contribute here, boss. Boss, what do you think we should do? And yeah, it's like, and he's like, yeah, I did good. I asked the questions. Like, all right,
Oh,
we
you
got to talk
tried.
about what happens after you ask the question. Yeah, there's some things I don't even know that you're doing.
So if you think your team's struggling with the second limitation of reduced innovation, if that's something that's happening because of your leadership being too directive, you might get a little more targeted and sort of try to pull out from them specific things like what might we be missing? What are some opportunities that you see ahead of us? What are some things going on the front line that you see us needing to address? Things that are bubbling up, new ways. Innovation, nova means new. That's the Latin for new. And so anything that's new, anything that you're sort of pulling like we talked about in the last episode, you're pulling up all the water in the well. You just keep going back to them again and again until you get all the stuff out that has to do with something that could be a new thing that we do, a change to what we're doing right now that would solve a problem we're seeing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, exactly.
Um, all right, dependency culture. If you've got that limitation going on in your workplace because of directive leadership, again, you need to not let them be dependent on you, right? So you throw the question back to them. You're asking them for solutions. And this is something, I don't know if you want to talk about the monkeys at this point, but this seems like sometimes I've been working with you long enough that I feel like I know which nugget you might be about to present. So
Oh
maybe
yeah. The idea of the Harvard
311.
Business Review article, who's got the monkey? The idea of the 131,
Yeah,
and relates back to the conversation we had in the previous podcast. But yes, the employee team member comes to you with an issue. Number one is we want to clarify what is the issue, what's the real problem here, what's your real concern, and so I clarify it, and then I ask this wonderful question. All right, so what three things have you tried to solve this? What three things have you already done? And it's
yeah.
this wonderfully assumptive, question that says, I know you've tried some stuff. And if you've created a dependency culture, there's a good chance that they haven't.
Right.
But we're going to go with, I'm sure you've tried some stuff, when the most likely answer to that is, no, I just came to you. That was my first attempt at solving this, was just bringing you this monkey, and the idea that the problem is represented as a monkey, and they're trying to give you their monkey. Your goal is not to take it.
Right.
So by asking, all right, so what three things have you tried? Well, I came to you. All right, so and then our wonderful question, and what else could you? All right,
Yep.
what else could you do?
Yep.
Let them brainstorm, and then the 131, the final one is, all right. Those are neat ideas. Which one are you going to go with?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which one are you gonna try first? And so now, right, I've had them clarify the problem, brainstorm some solutions, pick one, and move forward with it. You haven't taken their monkey. They leave with the problem where it should be on the person who's in the direct line of response to solve it.
And yet you've helped them take some ownership and come up with solutions and do a little growth for themselves, which leads us into the next sort of overcoming of a limitation. If you have a problem with limited buy-in, right, some of those answers there towards the end, like what would you do? How would you approach this? Those are the kinds of questions that give them a chance to say, yeah, let me own this. This
Mhm.
is, I'm let me give my opinion on this. I'm going to weigh in, and then you're going to get some buy-in.
Mhm.
I think you almost answered that already.
Right.
Um,
Oh yeah, that's so good. All right, so what would you do? Uh, and sometimes I've seen managers turn it around and say, "All right, if you were in charge, what would
yep,
you do?" So pretend you're me, and what solution would you come up with?
yep,
And I've had managers have them sit in the seat.
right,
So the employee comes into the manager's office and asks a question, and the manager's like, wait, change places, right? And have the person sit in, and then the manager asks that person, "All right, here's my problem. Here's what's going on. What do you think?" Right? And they're sitting in the big chair. Well, you probably should do this. Like, okay, switch seat, go do that, and they're off and running.
Let's talk about bottlenecks too. Ways that you can reverse bottleneck issues when you're a directive leader. Um, uh, obviously the main thing is to not be the bottleneck, right? So you got to delegate out some of the decision making, the actions that need to be taken, um, and you can actually ask that of people. What decisions can you own here? What are some parts of this that you're basically saying what's some parts of this that you feel comfortable doing or might be a stretch for you, but are things that you could take on yourself. And you're going to find out that some of the bottlenecks, it's just because they think that that's the process you want followed, which maybe was true. And now you're giving them permission to go do it by saying, what parts of this could you just go ahead and do? And some of
Mhm.
them will take that and run with it right away.
Oh yeah. All of a sudden, yeah, our capacity increases because they got more people solving problems and creating, boundaries, guardrails, whatever you want to call it. The wonderful book, "It's Your Ship" we referenced earlier. Captain Abershoff, he told people, here's my he calls them lines in the sand.
Hmm.
If it's going to damage the ship, or if what you're planning to do might get somebody injured or killed, or if what you're planning to do might waste taxpayer money, don't go there without me.
Yeah,
If
such a
it,
powerful end phrase there.
yeah, I'm not going to say no, but
Right.
but if it does injure or hurt somebody, damage the ship, or waste taxpayer money, you're probably going to need executive level coverage,
Uh-huh.
some CYA at a
Yep.
higher level than your current level. So he didn't say, yeah, don't do it. He just said, make sure I'm in the loop. And then he was very clear, if it's not going to do one of those three things, try it.
Right.
Try
Right.
it, figure it out, and then come to me, let me know how it worked out. So he gave clear guidance on when to approach him and when you're empowered, right? Don't think of me as a bottleneck. Work through it, and then we'll talk about it if we need to. If it works, fantastic, keep doing it.
And well, that's one of the reasons that we dedicated the Inquiring Leader to people like Greg Tansky and Dolores Hazel, who invested in us in this way. And I remember that first meeting with Dolores, her rule was keep me informed. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That was her version of don't go there without me, right? Like if
Yeah.
if you're going to do anything that I might get a call on, I'd love to be in the loop on that before I get the call so that I can provide coverage and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a wonderful way to overcome bottlenecks. So just say that the power isn't in these questions per se. It's not like we gave you a list of questions that, that's the silver bullet for overcoming a dependency culture or, bottlenecks or it's that the asking the questions unlocks some things for people to where they realize, oh, I am allowed to weigh in and get buy-in here. I am allowed to be engaged. They want that. It's overcoming some of those limitations. So that's why we did this episode, is to talk about the dangers of going down this road. And hey, if you're interested in overcoming these directive leadership issues, we got more good stuff in here about how to launch that kind of a leadership style and that kind of culture in your team in The Inquiring Leader by Mike Marshall and Mark Ramsey.
Woo! I love that book. Yeah, I can't wait for the movie. It's going to be great. We have reader or listeners. If you would just bleep bloop down in the comments below who you should think who should play Mike and Mark in the movie The Inquiring Leader.
Wow. I'm not even sure I would pull up that movie and watch it. That sounds pretty boring.
Well, it all depends on who plays us. Yeah, I got a feeling I'm going to get like Danny DeVito.
No comment. So leave your ideas also, if you are so inclined, in a 5-star iTunes review. We'd love to hear your thoughts there. But we would love to hear from you and get your thoughts on the book. So like, subscribe, review, rate. We'd love all those things, and drop us a line and let us know what further questions you have and episodes we can do that would help you. We are here for it. Should we go ahead and turn it over to our announcer?
I think that's a great idea. Stay curious, listeners, and take it away, Mr. Wolf.
So go ahead and tweet that, or share it any other way you want. As always, there are no rights reserved, no trademarks, no copyrights. Share it if you want to. And join us next time on It Doesn't Take a Genius.
That's good enough.